Good evening to one and all. On behalf of Philosophy Family, I would like to extend a hearty welcome to all of you to be a part of Philosophy Family. Friends, today we have invited one of the eminent scholars, young scholars of our country, Dr. Raj Kishore Patra. Dr. Raj Kishore Patra is now working as Associate Professor of Philosophy in Rajendra University, Odisha, and he has more than 10 years of teaching experience in different universities. Professor Patra, area of working is very technical, and she has interest in applied ethics. Making the fake use is the disadvantage, public relations, CSR, and he is interested in media culture uh, and the related studies, and he has contributed many articles on on media culture and the related research works, and they all have been published in different national level and international level journals. Professor Patra has already contributed one or two lectures in Philosophy Family. We have invited him earlier um, to to give a lecture on his area of interest. So today I do not want to spoil time. We are eager to listen to him. Today we have with us many young and senior professors of philosophy and other disciplines. We have with us Dr. Prashant Shukla sir. We have with us Professor Radhant Behra sir. We have with us uh, Satyam Shashank. We have with us Rudra Prasad, Rahul, um, and many other scholars. Today, I extend a hearty welcome to Sir Professor Raj Kishore Patra sir, and I extend my welcome to all the young and senior professors of our country to have joined this webinar. I extend my welcome to Professor Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, the Chief Architect of Philosophy Family, the host and the convener of Philosophy Family. I extend my welcome to Dr. K. Omnan Rao, the co-admin of Philosophy Family. And with this, once again, I extend my welcome to all of you. And today, you will be happy to know that Professor Dr. Raj Kishore Patra sir will discuss on artificial uh, intelligence. Artificial intelligence is a very modern topic for all of us, and most of the senior teachers, they are not conscious, they are not aware of okay, this type of topic. So the artificial intelligence is a growing subject in other disciplines and in philosophy also. Today, sir will discuss on artificial intelligence consciousness and ethics, and it will be this topic will be very benefited to all of us. So today I welcome Dr. Raj Kishore Patra sir to our family, to our platform, to our academic platform. And with this, I welcome sir and request him to start his topic, to start his talk on this scheduled topic. Pranam sir, over to Dr. Sir.
Very good evening to all of you, sir. I thank you, Sir Kailash sir, for your kind words. Respected Dr. P.K. Das sir, respected Dr. Kailash Chandra Maharana sir, Dr. K. Omnaran Rao sir, all other eminent faculties who you have mentioned, the senior most faculties who are attending this webinar, and respected other faculty colleagues of mine, and all the members and members of philosophy family, and the students and other participants. Thank you. First of all, thank you to all of you for giving me an opportunity to say a few words, or may share my views on my recent work. And all of must know, all of you must be happy to know that on this topic I have received a major research project from ICSSR this year. So yeah, let me share my screen. So is it visible? Okay. So my topic, today's discussion point is that artificial intelligence, AI, consciousness and ethics. All of you are very aware that AI is not a new animal to all of us. And maybe 10 to 15 years back, it was a kind of moron for us. We didn't know what it is. And we started discussing about what is AI and how it will be part of our life, how it will be part of our socio-cultural aspects. But now it's slowly getting into our life, and either we know or do not know. Unknowingly, we have accepted AI. Maybe in last 5-10 years, we had a long discussion. Shall we accept AI? Shall we allow AI to be part of our life or not? But now we directly or indirectly involved ourselves with AI, and AI became impartial part of our life. So now this is the emerging sector, and it's a discussing point. And what you say that how AI became part of our socio-cultural and psychological space has been taken. And we think of how AI became a kind of impartial component of our day-to-day life, but now it has been captured all of our spaces, our social space, our cultural space, our economic space, everything, every political space, every space AI has been captured, and also it has taken our mind space as well. So, but the concern is that when we are discussing about AI, the concern is that philosophers, psychologists, computer scientists, mathematicians, they are planning to introduce consciousness, like human being consciousness, as part of AI. So now the debate and discussion is more engrossing. The reason is that, is it possible or not? If it is possible, how it will be affected to us? So these are the question points. These are the discussion points for the. Am I audible to all? Shall I move on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Audible. Audible, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So these are my preface discussion.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Audible.
start. Okay, thank you. So let's start with our brief history of AI, how it has been evolved throughout the time. In the last 50 to 60 years, how the AI has been emerged from a concept node to a reality. Then understanding the concept of consciousness, which is a kind of $1,000,000 question, or we may say that it is a or maybe a disputed or a kind of undisclosed way of approaching to understand how and what is consciousness. So then we amalgam between AI and consciousness. Is it possible or not? Then after introducing consciousness in AI, what are the ethical concerns may arise? Then my concluding remarks, then limitation of my study. So this is a brief graph of evolution of AI. this has become idea to reality or the concept node to the how it has been existed now. In 1942, as Asimov science fiction called Runaround, a short story, where he thought of, he planned of a robot. Then it's a conceptual level. He has no idea about what it is, but it has been conceptuated. Then in 1950, Alan Turing seminal article, he mentioned about computing machinery and intelligence. That article started discussing about the theoretical aspects. Then move on to 1956. Minsky and McCarthy, they coined the term called artificial intelligence, which is one seminar, one DSRPA seminar where openly he introduced this term. They introduced. Then long gap has come, like 1956 to till 2000 million, 2000 era. In 2015, artificial neural networks, or you can say that deep learning, which has been started by Google, that's called AlphaGo. Then Hebbian learning imitates the process of neurons in the human brain. It has been processed. And then there is a called 1964, between 1964 and 66, ELIJA, a natural language processing computer has been developed. That's called NLP. Now NLP is like every aspects of our life. And that is moved into natural, hello, that has been moved to natural language processing to till now it's a called big natural language processing approaches. Then in 1990s, MIT's Kismet mimics and responds to human emotions. That means they start trying to how to respond to human emotions, relations, and connect it to that. In 2006, then a biped robot have been started, and they prepared a biped robot. And the whole revolution has to take place as a big giant in 2016, a humanoid social robot called Sophia. The Hans Robotic developed Sophia, and then 2024 America they contributed in more higher way. So you must know that this Sophia has got citizenship. This is a robot, and that got the citizenship of couple of countries like Dubai and Singapore, some other countries. And this robot traveled across to the different parts of the world and started responding to the people's question and started responding intelligently. So now is AI, a robotic AI is becoming a reality. So and all of us are now engrossed with this kind of interaction, connection. Like take an example of very recently or maybe in last couple of years, all of are associated with that. That's called ChatGPT. So intelligently responding to you. That's one aspect of AI or kind of one way of approaching and connecting to your life. Next, vision for conscious AI. Now, till the the evolution of AI process is about how and accordingly the way it has been coded, the way it has been decoded. So that's the approaches of mathematics. Of philosophers and literature people who theoretized all those aspects, and then it has been introduced. But till that point, there is no kind of way of much debate and discussion. But when it comes to introducing consciousness, it is beyond coding and decoding. It is about a consciousness like human being. So AI and cognitive science work together to display controlled and well understood intelligent behavior like human beings. So they want to bring out, as I say about Sophia, who is behave like a well understood intelligent human being. Is a robot, humanoid robot, but very intelligently respond to you like maybe like an educated or like any kind of highly philosophical debates and discussion, the Sophia can, involve you so well, so intelligently. That is till that is possible. But now researchers and scientists are embedding knowledge intelligence AI which can sense the world and respond suitably. That's also happening. That's also happening. In the midway, it has been reached. And yes, the robots or the AIs, they are responding you suitably and according the way of approaches of the way how it has been responded need to be the way. So that's now it is still there. It's called that's called emergence of strong AI. Earlier there is nothing called weak AI, but there is called strong AI. We can say that the AI who has the ability to respond to you as per the coded and decoded manner, but now it has been beyond code and decode, beyond the computational programming. Also, they have been responding as per suitable circumstances. So that means they have a decision making process which has been developed by the computer scientist. It's not like that they have the mind like us or they have conscious power like us. So, but it has been also decoded or encoded by the computer scientist. But so naturally they give you answer, so you may get surprised. Is it like a human being responding you? So then, yeah. So now, as I said, that the debatable point is that now the computer scientists, mathematicians, or the philosophers have a plan, or is there not have a plan? They are working very seriously to introduce consciousness in robot mind, in robotic AI. So then the tussle will start. So what is the apprehensions? Why we're worried about that? Is it possible or not? So let's see the kind of issues and concerns from various ways. One is the philosophical perspective, another is a socio-cultural perspective, then there is also from the technical perspective. So first you think of, it raises the age-old question of the mind-body problem. Till date, there is a historically debates are going on this concept, mind-body problem. Whether mind is separated from body, or mind and body are together, or we have no idea. Or till date, a series of philosophical debates and discussion taking place, and there is no conclusive part about understanding mind. So this is one of the major problem, because if we wish to introduce consciousness into AI, so then we have to understand what is the mind, what is consciousness, and what is mind. Then only we can try to tabulate or kind of mathematically code or decode. Then you can introduce to AI. So this is the major problem lies with that to understand mind-body problem. Next is that, however, physical science is looking for the distinct identity of the mind and its function. Yeah, as I said, so the identity of mind, how it works, how it functions, what is its nature, and how it can be understood, that is the major concern of physical scientists. They want to understand, they want to convert those aspects in physical mode, mathematical conversion with the computational mathematical approaches, so that they can introduce to AI, which till now is a debatable task, or it's a undisclosed area. So if they succeed, then only the computer theory of the mind may succeed in the future. So, but the concern arises when we talk about artificial consciousness. That means a consciousness which is, naturally given to us. Naturally, it has been attached to us as a human being. We have that power. So now we are planning to create a similar kind of consciousness, artificial way, and that can be introduced to another robot or machine. So machine consciousness, you can say, artificial consciousness, you can say. So these are the approaches you may look for. Therefore, exploring and understanding theory and function of consciousness may guide for. So it is essential to understand what is consciousness now. So, as we say, as we discuss, there is a problem between mind and body concept. We have no idea what is mind. Now we are landing into another, trouble or, concern, that is the area called consciousness. So we need to understand those two major chunks, what is mind and what is consciousness. Then only we think of introducing consciousness to AI. So let's have a wider view of understanding what the philosophers talk about, because philosophy provides a huge range of theoretical perspective where the others can think of, where the others can work on. So initially, the beginning part, if you say look at the views of Rene Descartes, the mind, body, the way he understood, the body is a spatial extension and motion, while the mind is characterized by thought. He he initially says mind body are two different aspects, and their functions are different. They may stay together, but the approaches, the work, the function, the connectivity is completely different. The spatial part, the physical component is the body, and the mind which is characterized by thought. Then Spinoza, who talks about dual aspect of theory. One is called, sorry. So dual aspect of theory where mental and physical are different aspects of the same substance. They say that Spinoza view is more about the. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. So mental and the physical are different aspects of same substance. It's a dual aspect theory. So that means the same substance, but it has a different functions, approaches, and the organizing setup. Then Leibniz talk about psychophysical parallelism. The mind and body are separate substances but constructed from outside to run together in perfect harmony, which is a link from dual aspect to psychophysical parallelism. They say, yes, they are two separate, but however, they parallelly work together and they are in the same substance. So, and then move on to Berkeley, who denied the possibility of mindless material substances. He completely said, no, it's not possible. And then he said his theory is focusing on immaterialism. So in contrast to immaterialism, holds the matter is fundamental and is the cause of mental events. So the materialists believe in that. So matter is the fundamental aspect, and that is the cause of every events, activities, including mental activities. So Locke, who says mind-body distinction and more concerned with the problem of knowledge. He just separated away himself from that angles of understanding whether mind body are separate together kind of. He was majorly focusing on it is a problem of knowledge. So he contrasted outer sense, the mind's experience of thing, and with the inner sense, the mind's reflective experience of its own experience of thing. So that means he has divided into one is external and internal. Internal is more reflective about its own activities of mind rather than the outer world. Then Hartley mentions sensations were paralleled by vibrations or elemental. So he brings out physiological psychology. He again the further development he brings out the physiological psychology. Then Thomas Reid, majorly focusing on inner faculties. He developed Locke's idea of inner sense to postulate that mind contained a number of innate faculties. So there are a number of series of innate faculties which is working. Then Joseph Gall derived his list of power of the mind, which is he tried to attempt to localize the brain. So the brain has the power of the mind. So it has a series, as you say, the innate faculties. Similarly, it is a series of powers of activities which have been there. Then the major, work of eminent philosopher Immanuel Kant were denying that such a science is possible. He said, no, it is not possible. Mathematically, we could not apply to describe a mental phenomenon. We cannot apply mathematically. Mathematically, we cannot explain the mental phenomena because these phenomena vary in only one dimension, that is called time. So, it is not possible mathematically explain. So, outrightly can deny. So, likewise, experimentation could not be applied to psychology. Hence, you cannot apply to psychology because it is very subjective experience, which cannot be mathematically understood, which cannot be understood by third person. Only I myself can understand. If I understand and explain, that's again it is going to third person experience. So, hence, Fincher, who believed against Descartes' thought process, Descartes' philosophy, he said mind and body are two aspects of single entity, which is the dualistic philosophers, or you can say the dual aspect theory, psychoparallelism, they talk about. So they talk about two aspects of single entity. So he also believed against Kant that mental process could be measured. So he outrightly said against Descartes and Kant, which Kant said it cannot be mathematically measured, but Fincher believed that, and he also started working on that. Mental process could be measured. So now it seems that it is possible. So his method of psychophysics built on the demonstration of Herbert that mental experiences or sensations vary in intensity. There are diverse intensity, and that there is a threshold that is such that below certain stimulus intensity there is no sensation. So again he brings in, coming back to this the aspect, one is that there is a variety of intensity, there is a sensation, but then again he says that below a certain stimulus intensity there is no sensation. So that means it's coming again to that beyond the physical approaches, beyond the physical connectivity. So Fincher also built upon Weber's concept that just noticeable differences. So he developed called JND. On that basis, he started measuring the whole mental processes, sensations, reflections, all that through JND, just noticeable differences. He tried to compare with certain things and started measuring. That is JND. And that is the link he find out, and that is the process of measuring the mental process. So Fincher succeeded in showing that mental could be measured and was closely linked to the physical world. So as a psychologist, he understood and he demonstrated that mental part can be measured and can be linked to the physical aspect. So then further movement is taking place. At the beginning of 20th century, philosophers claim that life does not depend upon vital essence. Now, the philosophers started talking about this called vital essence is the major core of human being, and we cannot. It is beyond consciousness and everything. So that's called vital essence or Ellen Vital, what you say. But they're still not sure about consciousness. But they are not sure. They are not sure about what consciousness is. So now Paul and Patricia Churchland, both Churchland, husband and wife, they started they debating and discussing about consciousness itself is a vital essence. So therefore does not really exist. So when you talk about vital essence is the essential aspect of our survival or the mind process. So then this eliminative materialist, they believe consciousness is itself a vital essence. So therefore, we cannot see it. We cannot, it doesn't really exist. So further, functionalists following the footsteps of Lamette, the vital essence is a computational algorithm of sufficient complexity. So now moving into again the materialistic approach, or you may say that reductionist approach. They believe this is a computational algorithm it has its own complexity, but it can be converted mathematically. But still, Mysterians believe human brain can never be explained. It cannot be explained as from the Mysterian point of view. So consciousness studies are frequently criticized for failing to define precisely what consciousness is. From beginning of my talk, as I mentioned, philosophers are struggling, scientists are struggling, mathematicians are struggling. Everybody is struggling to define what mind is and what consciousness is. So now move into the concept of consciousness to understand. Those are the philosophers' view. Now to understand again those philosophers, they understood about consciousness or the way they given us the views and theories. So consciousness is what we experience, referred to as qualia. The philosophers mentioned the term called qualia, a subjective conscious experience that is called a first-person experience. My consciousness, I only experience, nobody other can experience it, or what I experience, that is my own experience, which I cannot also explain. If I explain that, again, it will be not a first person or first hand experience, or it is not this explanation converted and changed into third person understanding. So, however, the phenomenal conscious school of thought claims mental states are inherent, which is the phenomenal character of mental state. So, the phenomenologist believes that it is an inherent part of mind. So, mental states are inherent. So, meanwhile, apart from the mental states, we connect to the external world and are conscious about that thing which is known as creature consciousness. Then Tai in his paper mentioned about the creature consciousness, which is again evolves with natural process. He talks about excuse me, we connect to the external world and are conscious about that thing which is known as creature consciousness. So there are several approaches to creature consciousness, such as sentience, capable of sensing and responding. We all have kind of capability to sense the thing, responding the thing. Then wakefulness, awake and alert. We are awake or alert with certain context situation. Right? We may say that every time we are awake, so that is again part of creature consciousness. Then self-consciousness, which is they mention about self-awareness, but later stage of the philosophy they may deny this part also. Similarly, state consciousness also have several states. There is another, like creature consciousness, again there is one component of called state consciousness, which has been developed by philosophers. This says mental states of awareness, like qualitative states, that is called qualia or sensory fields, phenomenal states, access consciousness, which is the intra-mental relation, intra-communication, like I communicate myself, that's intra-mental. Then narrative consciousness, stream of consciousness is connected. So like so there are a series of understanding about consciousness. Then the descriptive aspect of consciousness deals with qualitative character, phenomenal structure, subjectivity, and first person and third person experience. If you try to explain and descriptively to understand what consciousness deals with, then that is called qualitative character. It cannot be quantified. Qualitative character means it cannot be quantified. You cannot quantify with numbers mathematically. It is qualitative understanding, which is again very subjective and first person. That qualitative character understanding is very much subjective and first person, and is phenomenal structure. And third person experience cannot be considered as the what we say qualia. So, however, so there is a explanatory approach to explain the concept and ends with reductive and non-reductive explanation. So there is a explanatory gap which is defined by Levi, and which cannot or properly give a reason to explain or would not provide a platform to explain what consciousness is. So then it ends with two aspects. One is reductive, another is non-reductive. So that means the group of philosopher or scientists who believes in consciousness can be converted to material perspective, coded or decoded, that is called reductionist. Another group of philosophers who do not believe or who do not consider that consciousness can be reduced to a material perspective, material components, or mathematically calculated or decoded or encoded. That is called non-reductionist. So these are two explanations emerged. One is a reductionist approach, another is non-reductionist approach. So it's a debates and discussion is on. So what the bridge as I mentioned. So Rene Descartes' immaterial mind and material body, which is extension of Plato's two world. So as per Rene Descartes, mind is not under the law of physics. Kant has also similar approaches to understand that it can by mental phenomena, mental activities cannot be mathematically quantified. So, however, property dualism theory rejects the existence of immaterial mind. So, the property dualism of this is another school or this materialist group. They do not believe an immaterial mind. So, mind is also part of material component. Hence, it suggests that the body is a physical substance and the mind is a mental one which emerges from the events of material substances. So that means body clearly defines as a physical substance. However, mind is also a mental one, but however, it emerges through the material substance, events of material substance. So property dualism or materialists, or what you say, the reductionist, they believe mind, body may not be a two separate component. It seems to be separate, but it has one material substance or connectivity. So identity theory also proposed that nerve cells and their activities replace the mind. This is again another perspective. Hence, Maslin argues that identity theory still carries the concept of property dualism. So that means again what the identity theory believes that there is a connectivity. Again, it follows the same principle of property dualism which we discussed. So from the net realistic perspective, human being perceives the world as it is through sense experience without any filter or biases. So phenomenologists understand or understood consciousness from a first-person perspective. So phenomenologists, their point of view is that consciousness is a first-person perspective. It cannot go beyond subjective experience, which is subjective and engages with conscious experience. So Ned Block, he spoke about phenomenal consciousness related to experience in a conscious mental state, and access consciousness is related to reasoning and guiding behavior. He mentioned about two aspects. One is called phenomenal and another is access. So phenomenal consciousness is very subjective, is a mental state, but access consciousness is related to reasoning and guiding behavior, which is a kind of routine approaches, which is kind of evolved with the our cultural understanding. However, the reductionist suffices consciousness could be reduced to features of the physical world. As I mentioned earlier, reductionists are still believe that it can be converted through physical processes. So consciousness is no more separated from physical approach. It is similar, it is equal, a part of that physical approach which can be converted, which can be reduced to mathematical tabulation, which can be quantified, which can be coded and decoded, and computational theory may introduce those code and decodes encode and decodes to the minds of AI or the head of the inside the head of the AI. So several studies identify consciousness as a distinctive aspects like thought, emotion, and situation awareness like information related to who, what, why, etc. As you say that there is a phenomenal consciousness, which is thoughts, emotion, internal aspects, subjective experience. But like access consciousness is like situation awareness. As per the situation, the way you respond. Like information related to what, when, where, how, these are the kind of aspects. So as I mentioned you, the philosophers are struggling and exploring a way to explore the phenomena of consciousness. So that is the explanatory gap which has been identified or acknowledged by Levine as well as Chalmers, David Chalmers, who is a neuroscientist, philosopher, psychologist. And the Chalmers' contribution to the AI and consciousness is highly relevant to this era. So, there is a gap. There is an explanatory gap. There is a what is that explanatory gap? That they cannot explain what is consciousness. That is itself, failure. So, engineers and physical scientists fail to solve the problem of consciousness. It's not only engineers and physical scientists. Also, the philosophers fail to define what is consciousness. So, it has been identified as the explanatory gap. Also, David Chalmers, who mentioned it's a hard problem of consciousness. That means it seems that consciousness is understood, but it is a bigger problem, it's a very hard problem to define what consciousness is. So Chalmers' major question is at least you have to first define what consciousness is, and we fail to define that. So that's why in Chalmers' word, conscience is not consciousness. Actually, we misunderstood with certain concept and we consider that is consciousness. But Chalmers said no. We really could not define what consciousness is. What we understand consciousness is not consciousness. Like conscience. Conscience is not consciousness. Similarly, consciousness is not equivalent to general awareness. When you say that self-awareness, general awareness, and maybe self-awareness may be part of consciousness, but general awareness, I'm aware that, that's not consciousness. So consciousness and sentience are two different. And also sometimes we equally think sentience is consciousness. No, it's not consciousness. So briefly, if we understand Chalmers, he said conscience is not consciousness, general awareness is not consciousness, sentience is not consciousness. But we misunderstood, or we, by mistake, we consider all this part of consciousness. So then, what is consciousness? A subjective experience which rise to explain consciousness through self-awareness. So self-awareness is a mode, or self-awareness is a kind of process, or you can say that medium where we try to have a subjective explain consciousness through subjective experience. So which is known as the philosophy of mind as intentionality and aboveness. So this is what the process David Chalmers' point of view. Even Antonio Damasio also he believes. These are the two philosophers, Damasio and Chalmers, for in current era is highly acceptable and highly we should know them to understand what concept of consciousness. So philosophy of mind is intentionality and aboveness. It comes through our subjective experience. How to understand that? Through our self-awareness. Okay. So then, but however, reductionist approach became vanguard by behaviorist and was followed by identity theorists. So they create hope among engineers and neuroscientists to craft a conscious self. So if you look at Chalmers, Levine, or Antonio Damasio, these are the philosophers who are into the school of non-reductionist approach. Because why? They questioning the definition of consciousness, understanding of consciousness. So they be part of non-reductionist group. But there are a group of philosophers, scientists, engineers They reductionist, those who believe believe themselves as a reductionist philosopher. What is their views? Now they are encouraging to the people to introduce AI, conscious AI. So now we had a kind of understanding about how AI evolved. Then there is another approach to understand what is consciousness. Now we are trying to merge it and to create an animal called conscious AI, and that is the school of reductionist school strongly vouching for a conscious AI. So the concept now it comes with a strong AI emerges. So the concept of strong AI or machines having consciousness and weak AI, which is stimulates thought and understanding instead of consciousness. So at the beginning, I said that there is nothing called weak AI, but yes, what called strong AI and weak AI. Weak AI means an artificial intelligence who has the ability or intelligence to behave as per the coded and encoded manner, stimulate the thoughts and understanding, but do not have consciousness. But in opposite to weak AI, strong AI have a conscious power. Strong AI have a conscious power. Am I audible? All of you follow me properly? Shall I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, these are the two distinct approaches. One is an intelligent robot but do not have the conscious power. Another is a robot which has conscious power, that is called strong AI, and the intelligent without conscious, that is weak AI. But first, biological naturalist argues that inner experience is quite impossible, even for a super intelligent AI that is only restricted to biological organisms. So, naturalist or biologist believes, natural biologist or biological naturalist, they argue conscious AI cannot be possible. Why? Now, the inner experience, which is naturally evolved, and it is a biological organism. It is not a technocrat organism. It is biological organism. It cannot be artificially converted. So, biological organism is part of a natural process, and by naturally it has been gifted to us. It has been part of us. It cannot be part of an AI or artificial robot or artificial thing or machines. These are the views of biological naturalists. On the other hand, techno-optimists, those who very much optimist about technical revolution, they are called techno-optimists. They vouches that sophisticated computational programming will have the inner experience. So they believe this computational program super highly sophisticated. That means what they try to understand, what they try to convert, they try to convert that. Suppose in our brain there suppose I have a certain experience, I have suppose a conscious experience or self-awareness, intra-communication, intra-information about myself. So that means something is happening in my mind. So that means there are neurons, they fires. And they try, the techno-optimist or the computer scientist, they try to psychologists, they try to understand in which context where the fire happens, the neuron, the fire takes place. If they understand the fire takes place in the same context, they can code that and they can try to introduce an AI, which is called strong AI can possible by infusing software in weightware. So that means they try to, the software programming is happening, but they also try to create a weightware. That means the organic aspect of or what you say the artificially organic aspect can be converted. Is a some combination of organic substance and hardware. So the inorganic. So that means it is a combining process. One is organic substance, another is inorganic substance. That means software plus weightware. Rather than hardware, it is called weightware. Why it is called weightware? That the organic component is part of that. So just allow me for a second. Excuse me. So Walters proposed that algorithm can be developed and executed an organic or inorganic machine if human consciousness is appropriately understood. So now these mathematicians or computer scientists or engineers, they believe if we understand what is human consciousness, then we can be converted it algorithmically. So that means it can be decoded, tabulated. So how it is possible? Now if we understand those fires, the neurons, understand the neurons, how it takes the fire takes place, how they send the messages, then automatically it can be decoded. So Cat Darling's view, a social robot is physically embodied autonomous agent that communicates and interacts with human and social level. So that means a social robot, as we have discussed about humanoid robot, which is like Sophia, who very intelligently responds to you. You cannot differentiate between a human being and the Sophia, but still lacks the conscious power which the Sophia do not have, which I have or you have. But according to Darling's, the social robot is a physical embodied autonomous agent. That means when it talks about physical embodied, that's again a reductionist approach which try to convert everything in physical mode or materially can be converted. So there is nothing called mental aspect. So the mental aspect can be understood through physical way. So the nervous system is in a fact surrounded by two orders of structure. One, the organism interior, and the other something that is surrounded of the organism. So as I mentioned about the neurons, the nervous system, the firing, all could have two orders. One is called the structures, two orders of one is the organism called interior, and the other is called surrounded, the external aspect. So interior, external aspect, everybody is gazing, everybody is understanding, everybody is trying to convert with the coding and decoding, and mathematically it can be tabulated. But the internal experience or the subjective, the first person experience, which till now is not reachable to the materialist or to the reductionist. But the reductionists believe that can be converted, that can be understood and converted. So it's not merely the nervous system looking at the outside world, it is the nervous system looking at the inside world and looking at the same type as the outside. So that means the nervous system which is looking inside as well as outside. But this outside aspect is already been understood, explained. But the inside one still it is in process to be understood. So that means it is not clearly defined what is that inside aspect. So as I mentioned, both David Chalmers and Antonio Damasio are worried about the reductionism. It's not about these philosophers are worried. It's not only the philosopher. Even if the visionary people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, they also doubt about introducing consciousness in AI. Why? The philosopher they believe it is very difficult, it's very challenging to face this model if the consciousness is introduced to AI. I'll talk later during my last part of discussion. A unidirectional emotional connection will develop with robots. So that means they're trying to create a unidirectional emotional connection through both internal and external. So that means that one component which will be monitoring both the aspects, both inside and outside. So DiCarlo mentioned we should not expect that the quality of consciousness in AI. So DiCarlo's view is very much, highly relevant in this context. When he said that introducing consciousness to AI, so that means that consciousness is not subjective, not first person. So that means whenever introducing it, it is itself third person experience. So that means we cannot guarantee the quality of consciousness in AI. So that means the kind of quality or the kind of natural and the beauty of consciousness with us or to me and you, which may not accurately coming into that because it is a kind of caricature. It is not naturally originated. It is not naturally immersed. It is a kind of artificial. Again, the consciousness is artificial. Okay. So all the standpoints appear strong from their perspective. So you see, both reductionist have a good standpoint, and non-reductionist has a strong standpoint. So reductionist believes yes, it can be mathematically tabulated, it can be converted in physical components, it can be reduced. So that means all mental phenomena, mental activities, mental accesses can be converted. But non-reductionists also have a strong point. We say that till now we cannot define what is mental phenomena. Till now we cannot explain what it is, what is the consciousness. So how it can be reduced. So both have their own way of approaches and understanding. So now the battle is between to bring out a conscious humanoid or what you say that strong AI or weak AI. Till now, the intelligent AI has been developed. We have encountered, and we see the AI is reading news components. AI is in part of classroom. AI is part of our every aspects of our life. AI is there. Robots are there to serve in restaurant, work in a shop. So all are there. Like, but conscious AI, who judge, who behave or talk and the kind of self-awareness like human being is now still a questionable point. But however, suppose give a kind of benefit to reductionist and say allow them, okay, they are in position to produce a conscious AI, then the ethics emerges. The ethical concern questions will be asked. What are the moral issues and concerns? So now we started with the AI, then understood consciousness, then tried to amalgamate between AI and consciousness. Now, if suppose you believe or consider conscious AI has been developed or produced, so what are the ethical concerns is my point. How ethical it would be to develop an AI with consciousness is very challenging. Moreover, do we expect the conscious AI will behave ethically? One is the challenge is that to develop a conscious AI. But now, suppose in case it has been developed, how do we guarantee that it will behave ethically? So Sender explains that the moral behavior, empathy, IQ, integrity, social behavior, it is all these are of a conscious AI depends upon its architectural design. So according to him, Singer, whether the AI behave ethically or not, it depends upon its design or structure, how it has been created. If the AI, conscious AI, created with ethical components, infused with ethical components, moral behavior, empathy, integrity, social behavior, cultural aspect, then automatically it will behave in that accordingly. If it is not been imparted with moral behavior, then you cannot expect a conscious AI behave morally. So that means again, all this behavior, emotion, empathy also trying to they encode and decode and mathematical tabulate and into introduce a mind. So the robot may respond violently or pleasantly, which will be known after several experiments in a controlled environment. It's coming to the physical controlled environment through experiment process. After introducing consciousness in AI with all those components like moral behavior, empathy, integrity, social, cultural aspects, now we see how they behave, the AI behave in a controlled environment. So that means in a lab or in a specific social lab, you have to develop with a controlled environment, then you try to experiment. Then with multiple experiments, we see or we observe what is the response coming out. It is also not known whether it will increase our intelligence level or take us toward the path of war. We do not know. As I mentioned to you earlier, like all these visionary industrialists, philosophers, scientists, many people are there who believe human being cannot cope up with the AI. What is the reason? Now, because their major strong point is that human evolution took millions of years. We, a conscious being, suppose I, a conscious being, today in 21st century, I'm sitting and addressing to you. It took millions of years my brain process components. So you see, the evolution is like huge chunk of time has been taken. But AI is just moving on like anything. In the last 20 years, maybe in the next 20 years, we do not know how it will be reaching to that, which level. So the concern is that how it will be. How can we, compete with the millions of years it takes for our evolution, for our progress? But AI within last 50 years, in next 50, maybe within, suppose think of 100 years, it is come with full-fledged conscious AI. Can we compete with them? No. It's very difficult, very challenging. So it has been raised by many people. It will bring us towards a war between AI and human being. So machine and human machine tussle will start. And if you believe or not, this tussle already been started. This tussle between machine and human being already been started. Take an example of your mobile phone. A mobile phone is a machine, but however, your mind space has been given to the mobile phone is much more than your human relation with other people. So now the mobile phone has taken more priority than you, and the mobile phone has taken your more time and space than you. So that means the tussle already been started, and we are not aware about it. So that's why philosophers believe it could be like a Sellis-Frankenstein effect. So that means the moron which we develop, the same moron will kill us. Okay, so which is unpredictable. So now, I very much like Davies' view. He says AI becomes defined as a dangerous or not purely based on whether it is conscious or not. We must realize that stopping an AI from developing consciousness is not the same as the stopping it from developing the capacity to cause harm. So that means he says that rather than to stop in developing conscious AI, it's better to find out the way how to introduce the capacity to reduce the harm or to which will not harm. So that means introduce more ethical components when you are thinking of conscious AI. So he vouched for encoding values and ethics in AI rather than stopping to develop conscious AI. So even he said that AI could pose an existential threat unless it also had consciousness. Even if he said that, okay, suppose you are not introducing a consciousness into AI, so again that will be an existential threat if they do not have a moral conscious power. So that means even in this weak AI also have the ability to take over human being. So that means, according to Davis, you may introduce conscious AI with moral values. So then it will. So he nicely presented his article. He said that conscious superintelligent AI might be less harmful than the non-conscious superintelligent AI. So that means a conscious, moral, ethical AI less harmful. Because why? Now the reason is that already morality has been introduced, consciousness has been introduced, so it will behave accordingly less harmful rather than a non-conscious AI, which do not have a conscious power, which do not have a moral power. So it is my concluding part. I believe it's very challenging, of course, because where you do not understand where is the consciousness to define, but then AI is emerging like anything. We do not have the control of that because in last 20 years AI has been reaching into that place which you cannot imagine or guess. In another 20 years, you do not know where it will be. So then, and also the scientists and the philosophers and the engineers, computer scientists, mathematicians, psychologists, neuroscientists, all are there working together hard to introduce conscious AI. So we should think to infuse moral values. So as Davies mentioned, I believe, even if we have a conscious AI, we must have a moral views, values, and ethical standards in AI. So if the reductionists succeed and scientists produced a conscious AI with moral values, the future will show us who will control or help whom for that. So as you, like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and other philosophers believe that there will be a tussle between human and machine. That future will say whether they will, the conscious AI will help us to survive, or will help us to then survive, or there will be a tussle or a like war between both. Who will survive? We do not know. So that is the future, and it is a question or debate for or discussion for further. So limitation of study, we may include a more philosophical perspective, more like psychological, sociocultural perspective, which is a gap which may be added more. So these are the references, few list of references there because the list is more. This is thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. Thank you. So if there is any question, it is open to all.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much, okay, Dr. Patra, for your very technical and comprehensive talk on artificial intelligence concern, intelligence consciousness, and its implication to ethics. And you have very clearly presented the history of artificial intelligence, and you have also made a very uh, conceptual analysis and understanding of the concept consciousness, artificial intelligence, and its relation to consciousness. You have also very clearly um, explored the ethical concern of artificial intelligence and the limitation that you have made through your paper uh, relating to the present stance of the people and intelligence. And you have made that artificial intelligence is a kind of machine consciousness or the digital consciousness and advantage in the scientific era. And you have said that artificial intelligence is a modern system, and it has potential rights, responsibilities, and the implications of the for the future generation. And it also possesses a sense of awareness, self awareness, and sentience, And you have also made that how artificial intelligence system are not conscious in the way in the same way that humans are. But you have also made um, some research for exploring the possibility of creating artificial intelligence consciousness uh, for the solution of many problems that people are facing, uh, that the young generation they are facing. And AI ethics that you have also made, that how it involves for developing the frameworks and guidelines for the as responsible citizens. And you have also made a very beautiful connection of AI with the ethical concept, whether AI will behave ethically or not, whether it has moral behavior or empathy, intelligence quotient, and social behavior or not. And you have said that it is very dependent. It is dependent on the artificial design, etc. And I don't want to explore all the things that you have made in your talk. And you have made that AI becomes dangerous or not. It is very debatable. And AI may be may be very harmless if it is handled um, intelligibly. And you have also infused uh, moral values and ethical standards in AI for the future generation. And you have also made a very beautiful analysis of philosophical exploration of AI, consciousness, and ethics. Thanks so much, Dr. Patra, for giving a very beautiful analysis of the artificial intelligence that we are discussing in current era. And the students and the new scholars, young scholars, will be very benefited out of it. We are also benefited out of it because it is a technical paper that
Thank you.
that we are not able to understand all the things that you have uh, covered. Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Patra. Now, I would like to request Dr. Pramod Kumar Das to interact with our scholarly viewers with you. Over to
Thank
Dr. Das.
you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Mahender.
you, sir. Thank you.
It is really a very good presentation made by Dr. Raj Kishore Patra. He is my student, so therefore I am not addressing him, sir. So this is open for discussion. I shall invite Ranjit sir. Sir, please have your observation. You can ask questions. Ranjit sir, please. Yes.
Thank you, Dr. This is a new area for the students in general because this is also very important area, I should say, where all of us should think, and the younger students, they should think about this thing more and more. As Dr. Patra has said, I am also concerned with the ethical aspect of AI, the use of AI. Now, prior to that, I am giving one example. This morning, when my mobile was not, the sound was stopped and it was not coming. So when immediately Google came, and I asked Google, where is the sound? Then immediately he took me to a song named Where is the Sound? Now, one thing I should make it, and then Dr. Patra can also very well say it. Now, when we are talking of artificial intelligence has become a necessity in the larger domains, but in the smaller states, in the small questions, it cannot solve. It cannot give the answer immediately. This is my feeling. And then coming to the aspect of AI consciousness and ethics. Now, what I have observed that instead of consciousness, these AI, the philosophers who are propagating AI, they have used the word sentience, and this sentience is used because it involves the ability to experience ethically positive or negative mental states, which is not possible with
True, true, true.
capable and bringing sentience in place of consciousness is will not serve any purpose. Now, another thing, as he was telling, the future is this, that I think so far ethics is concerned, humans have a duty to care towards any sentient AI they create, because the possibility of being misused and the ethical concerns will be overlooked if humans just leave the AI to rule their lives. But of course, as he also pointed out, he hinted that we are moving towards a transhumanism, where the humans and machines, they are just mixing together, and these things we are experiencing in our day-to-day life. We are more attached to our mobile phones, and we are collecting informations, and then one information to another and another. In this way, it has become a type of, what should I say, it has become a vicious circle. So AI is creating such situations in our lives. Now, for this reason, as I'm trying to, the thing is that when such a topic came, obviously I consulted Wikipedia and all the different avenues where these things have been discussed. And one thing I found there, roboethics, this is said, and this roboethics is always trying to prove that these brain organoids will not do always, because he must have read the Thomas Metzinger, the German philosopher, who is trying to bring a global moratorium on synthetic phenomenology until 2050. Because you see, we are dealing with consciousness. So consciousness is, phenomenologically speaking, consciousness is always consciousness of something. So when this AI is creating a type of situation, he has boldly advocated the global moratorium on synthetic phenomenology. Actually, you see, why we accept AI to be a similar as our consciousness, because of its synthetic power. It is its power of the synthesizing things like the humans. So this is a synthetic phenomenology, as he claims, and therefore the future of AI will be always in the hands of the humans. Humans cannot keep it themselves away from it. This is my observation, and he may give us further views on it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Very well, very deliberate. I mean, it explained certain aspects which I missed. That is called transhumanism. That transhumanism is a concept has been already emerged, and they are talking about how to handle this moral. You know, like suppose an AI, having the conscious power and then converted into certain a power like human being. So it is a kind of, it's not like exactly the human being, it's a kind of, it's like a machine like human being. So machine and the human approaches, which will become a transhumanism. There are also list of ethical code of conducts has been developed by many philosophers. a scientist, they define how this transhumanism will need to be behaved, and also, as you mentioned, the kind of robo ethics has already been there. The series of robo and in USA and in Switzerland, in many European countries, they have started developing a set of ethical components for AI. So that means when we are using the AI, that also need to be ethically behave to them. Means that means the ethically, morally need to be a set of standard where we can use. Suppose a robot I'm using for my personal work or to helping me to know in my academic writing and kind of humanoid robot. So that means suppose that robot's capacity is to work for 12 hours. That means there should be a standard of approaches how many hours I can allow this AI to work for me. So this is one component. The other component also, suppose a conscious AI has been emerged and which will be equal to human being to tussle with human being. So at that time, how the AI need to follow the ethical principles. So there also, Asimov also developed three regulations, ethical standard views. It says that first, the AI should under control of the human being or the creator. This is the first rule. Second rule is that the human being also duly respect to the AI. But third rule is that, so the third component is that it says that it should be follow both first and second rule. So that means it is a mutually to have a kind of understanding, both have equal share of moral values, both should have equal emotion and relation. But again, as I said, it is the future will see the controlled environment with leads lots of experimental process can define and show how it would be. Second, you say that the vicious circle, of course, this vicious circle we are already been trapped. So we are not escaped from that vicious circle. Already been part of that vicious circle, and we are engrossed ourselves with the same process, and we are not aware that we are part of the vicious circle. Yeah, thank you so much, Ranjit sir, to explaining so well, further adding these aspects. And then synthetic phenomenology already been explained. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patra. I shall have some observation. Generally, I do it at the last. Achha, Pasna Suklaji, please. Yes, if you have raised your hand, please first you say, then I shall. Suklaji.
Thank you, Dr. Patra. It was a very enriching presentation. I have some doubts. Number one, the law of robotics, which you have talked about with reference to Asimov, actually, these are not the laws given anywhere. These laws were for the first time mentioned in the movie, as I and you both know. And it is only a cinematographic liberty. And there is no rule like that. Second thing, uh, while talking about AI, the only litmus paper test which I believe is the unpredictability, which is the hallmark of intelligence. And that is precisely which differs AI from machine learning. Like, let me clarify this. If I switch the button of the laptop and it switches off, so it is a very predictable kind of action, but that is not intelligence. However, if at some point of time I switch the button off, but the laptop responds by saying, I'm not in the mood of getting switched off. So that is the real litmus paper test of being an intelligent behavior. So still I believe, though no matter we call it as intelligence, it is not intelligence. It is simply a kind of machine learning. And if I say so, what would be your response, sir? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for bringing up these questions. It's really interesting. As you said, the law of robotic, as Asimov mentioned in his own literature, Of course, it has not been encoded or it has not been accepted by any constitution till across the globe. But yes, there is a possibilities to be in that way we can move on and we can refine or redefine or reassess and we can present in certain way which is like relevant to the time and circumstances. That is one aspect. Second, as you mentioned very clearly, unpredictability. And yeah, of course, you said that the intelligent, the comparison of the kind of, whether the um, laptop will say that I'm not in mood, it is again in that, coding and decoding factor. Suppose the laptop is kind of, in having the capability of functioning continuously 8 hours, and it has been coded in that way. So if you go to 8 hours, 1 second more, then you say, then I'm going to sleep now. So this is again coding, decoding, mathematical tabulated part. And you
No, no,
say
sir.
that it's
I'm so sorry to interfere. This is
sure.
not unpredictability, sir, because the programming or the coding goes like this: that if it
Yes,
works for more than 8 hours, then so and so.
true, true, absolutely true. As you said, it is. So unpredictability comes when it is beyond the coding and decoding. So that means a conscious AI we are discussing about, that the AI itself is self-aware how to behave, what to behave, and whom to behave, what to approach, where to approach, which is till now is not a feasible as of now, but still reductionists believe it is possible. And they have been succeeded somehow, like as I mentioned, Sophia, and there is another robot developed by Saudi Arabia. They behave in certain way, that responding certain way. As you said, it is not intelligent. Maybe we cannot say strong intelligence, as you mentioned. You intelligence encoded and maybe weak intelligence they mention. So the strong intelligence comes with conscious power. And if it is conscious, as I mentioned you, as the and not means philosophers mentioned, I'm just reading their views and presenting before all of you. So they mention that subjective experience, which is subjective in nature, which is to me only, how can it be converted? If it is converted, it is not first experience or first hand experience. That is third person understanding and experience. So that means what originally it was to me, it cannot be to you. So that experience when move into from me to you through a robot or like through a mathematician encoded to machine, again it has some limitations. So yes, of course, it is a challenge to face the unpredictability. So that's the, as I mentioned, as scientists believe that this the controlled environment and experiment will can understand help us whether this conscious AI will be a helpful asset to us, or it is a kind of foreign to us, or it will be uh, beneficiary or not beneficiary. It will be decided with the future type. But of course, we need to have a proper understanding of how to deal with that, and should have a kind of certain set of standards of monitoring and assessing and accessing. Thank you. Hope I have given some views. But yes, I have also my limitation because I'm not expert in that area as a computer scientist or engineer. Thank you.
Yes, and Dr. Patra, um,
Yes, sir.
when we are talking about artificial intelligence, we can say that it is a programmed consciousness which has been programmed in such a way that the robot, like a machine, that will operate in that way, not in the reverse way. In human consciousness, what happens? We can act otherwise. Underline this statement. We can act otherwise. We do not have any program. We can act otherwise. If you do not feel good to act in a programmed way, Programmed way means the way the agenda has been fixed, the way all are ready, as like Arjuna. Arjuna decided not to fight. That was not the agenda. To act otherwise. That is the human consciousness, that man has freedom to exercise his freedom in acting, in doing in his duty or in doing something. But robot or any instrument having artificial intelligence, that does not have that capacity. Suppose imagine that AI became so powerful, so intelligent, and that became better than human intelligence. Suppose imagine, then there will be no politics, no government, no economic system, no religion, no marriage party, no human liberty. AI will have his own world, and human beings will become inferior to the world of AI. This will be the situation. That means the question is whether AI is controlled by man or man is controlled by AI. Who is controlling whom? If man is controlling AI, then there is a space for human consciousness as primordial. If AI is controlling man, then consciousness has been construed as a programmed consciousness. So many philosophers who defined consciousness according to their own perspectives. Of course, there is there is no scope for the definition of consciousness according to Advaita Vedanta or according to Indian perspective. All were foreign philosophers who are not really so much aware of consciousness as such. The questions that I asked, in the perspective of the Western philosophers, as they understand consciousness, there is a possibility that sometimes AI may overrule man, AI may control man. But in Advaita Vedanta concept, as we understand consciousness, that man will control AI because it has been programmed by man. It has been what happened in air crash in Ahmedabad. Because the pilots became undone, because everything is programmed and the machine failed. Okay. And man is hanged in the air with AI. That is the problem. When we totally depend upon AI, totally depend upon one machine or double machine or third machine, but we are in hanging the air, so this will be the situation. But that does not take place when we give our free space to human consciousness. Okay, we are discussing, we are criticizing, we are analyzing even the concept of AI because we have a primordial consciousness. Otherwise, we cannot rediscuss or rediscuss AI. So my point is, if we think that AI is a tool, it is an instrument it is an instrument that can help human work and science, technology, then that is good because ultimately it can be handled by human beings. Stop. When man will command stop, then AI will stop. If it is not that, somehow or other man becomes the slave of AI, then everything will be collapsed in a recent future. There will be artificial intelligence will create artificial social life, artificial economic life, artificial cultural life. Everything will become artificial. But that is not our life. We live our life very lively, very sentimentally, very sensitively, and we have an inner urge to go beyond, and we have a sense of peace. And so far as ethics is concerned, it is also programmed ethics. If such and such a situation will take place, robot will cry, robot will express certain some certain emotion, certain body language. Okay, as actors do in stage, as per the rehearsal. Okay, so that is not the real emotion. So the first sentence that I uttered, human consciousness is greater in the scope because man can do otherwise. I can go beyond and apart from the agenda. This is my observation. Please have your response. I appreciate your attempt because this is a very common topic for all of us, and we are now living in the modern technology, post-modernity. Actually, we are living in this age, and I am very happy that AI, the contribution of AI is also tremendous because whenever we give any task to AI, even AI is preparing the application, AI is preparing the PhD thesis, AI is preparing everything, and also to some extent emotion also. But I feel the difference. If this difference is not understood, then AI cannot stand. What is your point? Who is superior, human consciousness or conscious artificial intelligence?
Thank you so much, sir. You already explained very nicely both Western and Indian perspective. But my all of my study is Western perspective. I have not touched upon Indian perspective. So that is my limitation of my study, as already mentioned. So that is one of the limitation of my study that I
So
have not explored the Indian perspective.
because of that limitation, what happens? It is not your limitation. I said it is the limitation of all Western philosophers who have defined consciousness in their own perspectives, including Descartes to Immanuel Kant and all. Achha, suppose Western philosophers take consciousness to be granted in their own ways. So this problem will take place whether consciousness will rule AI or AI will rule consciousness. So what will happen? You imagine there will be no relation between son and father. There will be no relation between husband and wife. There will be no such intercommunication. Interpersonality relation will be collapsed. Artificial society. We are living in that society because of our own sense of modernism. That is a separate thing. But sometimes we cry, we repent for our guilty, we return back to our culture. Okay, that part is missing if we take the Western philosopher's perspective to be granted. So far as consciousness is concerned, so far as artificial intelligence is concerned, there is no problem. Artificial, you are using artificial means it is artificial. It lacks originality. Because this moment we are using it is artificial, there is no question of originality. But we do not use the word artificial in consciousness. In Vedanta, there is no artificial consciousness. That is called empirical consciousness. That we are conscious of the empirical world, Jagatika Jivana. Not only in Indian perspective, but also in Western perspective also. Immanuel Kant has highlighted that you can know only the phenomenal world through your artificial instruments like sense organs and mind. In that period, he has used not used artificial intelligence, but in another language, he is saying this is artificial because this is empirical. Human categories of understanding are artificial. Artificials means they are formed, they are categorized. They cannot have the access for the noumena. The same thing has been said by other philosophers also. So there is no difference between Indian and Western but regarding consciousness, Indian philosophy has a special status. But the hints are also there in Western philosophy so far as noumena and phenomena are concerned. So yes, artificial intelligence has its own contribution. We should admit that this is created by our intelligence. our consciousness, and there is a brake in the car, however costly car it may be. Suppose you are riding a very costly car, but it has no brake. What does it mean? It will take your life. Rather, you ride bicycle. So, however, artificial intelligence may be great and successful, there should be a break in it, and that break is the human consciousness by which it has been created. If this common sense is overlooked, then artificial intelligence cannot be understood. Okay, this is not my conclusion. We shall continue. And now I shall request Rina Madam, then Radhanath sir. Um, Rina Madam, please have your observation or compliment
Yes,
to
sir.
Dr. Patra.
Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
Patra, it was a really wonderful paper that even though it was a technical, you really did a justice to it, I can say that. But the question
Thank you
comes
so
when we
much.
are talking about the technology, the main question comes here, the ethics as you raised. And the observation came from Ranjit sir and Das sir. What about when the question comes about, can, my question also in related to this only, can AI become a vehicle for spiritual manipulation or false enlightenment if it convincingly intact mysticism without inner authenticity? Because if there is, because we know that AI is made by someone, they are following the rules program whatever is made by the technologies, then the now the real point is, where lies the inner authenticity? And in this case, is it not possible that there will be a spiritual manipulation in this case? And if the spiritual manipulation takes place, then what about the spiritual intelligence? It otherwise possibility is there. Uh, this AI, artificial intelligence, will supersede the spiritual intelligence. And if this is the case, is this not a danger to the humanity? As we are seeing just now, the two example I right now want to quote it. When we came to know that during this Ukraine war, a truck, Ukraine and Russia, how truck came into the Russian territories, then the drones were automatically got managed, and they were literally targeted the areas. So if this is the case, then it is possibilities there we can even target the civilians. And then there will be the what we think about the concept, that is we uh, whole are one family, vasudhaiva kutumbakam. So we will not remain the one family in the world. In fact, we will be distorted, and those who have a AI power want to supersede the other country. So the question is the spiritual manipulation or false enlightenment in relation to this. Thank you, sir. I sorry, there were so many questions were in my mind. I tried to fit it into one, but it was a wonderful presentation. I can say that.
Thank you so much, madam. Thank you. It's a very highly relevant and nice present question. You mentioned at the end that's called distorted. I'm starting from there to respond to you, all of your queries. May not be it is appropriate my answer should be, but however, as per my understanding, it's my view. Yes, of course, we live in a distorted world. The whole perspective of the way and our human relation, emotion, empathy, and sympathy has been collapsed. And especially the reason is that we have a just what Pramod sir mentioned about our artificial social life. We are not really living in our human relation or kind of the social life what it should be. Like take an example of social media. Most of us, many of us, youngsters, are living in the social media. Even if we are in the same room where 4 or 5 members are sitting, but we are sending WhatsApp message "Happy birthday" to you, rather than saying in word, rather than expressing. Even if after sending a message "Happy birthday" to you, and the way, suppose I met you, but I never say because I already texted you through WhatsApp. So that means it's either intently or unintently, we are living in artificial social life. Parallelly, means yes, that our human relation, emotions are there, but still parallelly, artificial social life has been created, and we are living with that. Some people they live together, both the parallelly they are living the same, both the lives. Some people they live only one side of either artificial or the life what they believe. So, Pramod sir has mentioned act otherwise. Of course, we have a kind of self-awareness, consciousness which is gifted to us. It's act otherwise, which may the artificial intelligence cannot have, not at all till now, because the conscious power or the any kind of very highly sophisticated conscious power we introduce, it is not like act otherwise. It cannot be comparable. But yes, of course, as you mentioned, space for human consciousness which has been created. Again, the natural process, the way it has been inherited to us, which we are decoding, encoding, and giving it to AI, that again is a distorted aspect. It's not completely as it is real. So why it is called weight organic and weightware, software weightware. That means organically we try to infuse, but it's not organic. It's not natural. So even if our individual consciousness or our social consciousness also, as according to Darwin, it is also through socio-cultural perspective, it is evolving. So it is not completely static. It is also evolving. So that in course of that period of suppose we live parallelly with AI or machines, so accordingly our consciousness will evolve. Accordingly, our approaches of self-awareness also may in moving towards that where it can be distorted. What the example Madam has given about the Ukraine and Russia war or Iran and Iraq, like Israel war is happening, taking place, or maybe in any other parts of the world, even if the Cold War is happening in many places, all of these are kind of what you may draw from the distorted understanding of our socio-cultural perspective, the consciousness which are evolved with her socio-cultural presentation and understanding. So it is more core value which we talked about, the ethical. These ethical understanding core value also evolving. It's not also fixed yet. When you say the standard ethical code of conduct, it's not standard yet, because as per their suitability, they say Ukraine say that my work is justified. Russia says my work also justified. So ethically, it is also debatable when it comes to applied context. So these are the evolving process. We cannot guarantee on that. Yes, it will be work like this. Even if the control environment we experimented with AI, with all the conscious moral power, everything, whatever you infused, but still we cannot guarantee out of that controlled arena how it will respond. As is very rightly Rina Madam mentioned about the spiritually manipulation of spirituality or spiritual manipulation. Of course, it will be. So it has been already been started. So because the reason is that we are so much involved with all these AI processes, we already been connected with the certain the whole of our life. You say that okay, I'm not part of this mobile phone. I'm not part of this chat GPT. I'm not using Google. I'm not using laptop. I'm not part of this technocrat. I'm completely living a very different niche area in a rural area. I'm cultivating and living like a primordial. I'm living like a person who is involved with nature. You may separately did that, but you are not separated yourself from the whole environment. The whole world is moving towards this. So maybe 1% upon 0.00001% is separated then from this, the evolution process of machine and human tussle. But you are directly or indirectly, all of are connected to that. So yes, the spiritual manipulation will take place, and of course it will take. The reason is that because as Das sir said, it is act otherwise the natural gifting to us, the conscious power, it cannot be created once again. Even if the mathematically engineers, computer scientists trying to decode and to understand materially, trying to understand the physical components, whatever the possible way, it is not possible. Exactly they can create another robot, Dr. Pikedas. Dr. Pikedas himself is Dr. Pikedas. They may try to create, but it is again distorted. As you mentioned, two words which I like so much. The reason is that I am working on this distorted area of fake news, disinformation, and misinformation. And another, the spiritual manipulation is the term I need to explore. Thank you so much, Rina madam.
Yes,
Sir, one more thing, Das sir, can I? Uh, one more
after
thing,
me,
as you
madam, after me, just wait.
uh, okay, okay, sir. It was
Yes,
related. That's why. That's why. Okay, okay, sir.
just wait 1 minute, madam. I am just
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
after
Okay,
after
fine.
after me. I will respond. One, yes, Dr. Patra, it is correct. Yes, AI cannot act otherwise and should not act otherwise. If you imagine, if AI will start working otherwise, then it will be a danger, it will be a threat for all of us. Your ATM machine will start acting otherwise. I shall ask 10,000 rupees, he will give me 2,000 rupees. Okay. But you suppose your servant will beg you 2,000 rupees, you may bargain. No, you take 1,000, or you 2,000, you take 5,000. You are in trouble. But when AI will start acting otherwise, it will be a great threat. Then who will control whom? Even this machine will not obey that machine. The machines will not cooperate. So this is only human prerogative, that human consciousness is that it is beyond control. Human consciousness is beyond control, because it is the controlling agency. It can control everything. Okay, so AI should not act otherwise. This is there. But if we take the present perspective of human life, as there is lack of social living, there is it appears that human beings are living very artificial life, very you gave the example of Facebook and others, that how people express their emotions to each other without having that intention within. We are pretending, uh, and we also criticize that. We not only criticize artificial intelligence, many people are not involved in Facebook. Many people ignore Facebook chatting, Facebook way of greetings. So that is not appreciable. Many people do not appreciate Facebook life. They are far away from that. Why? Because there is another taste of life. That taste comes from our individuality. When we are talking about any machine, any programmed consciousness, that is something general, that is something universal. ATM machine is for all. Any machine that is programmed, that is for all. There is a command. Whoever will go and give the command, the machine will respond accordingly. But when we are talking about human consciousness, we are individual in nature. We have our individuality. That, as you said, it is subjective consciousness, purely subjective consciousness. Okay, that part is the real part of human life. When it is lacking, people commit suicide. When you see in the Western countries, why doctors commit suicide, engineers commit suicide, why they are well, they are well established, they are all they are well established, they have everything, but they commit suicide because they fail to coordinate, they fail to address the challenges of life. So, what is the sustaining principle? The sustaining principle is the creating principle. That is the primordial consciousness, which can create many artificial things, including artificial intelligence, for our better living. But that should not be our final asset to destroy us, to destroy our real purpose of living. Okay, so it is not your fault. You are just reading this paper and presenting this paper, and if I shall present a paper on AI, I shall also subscribe to that. Here we are discussing, really what is the primordial source. Something is created. Is it the primary? Can it be primordial? AI is the modern technology. We are managing to have a substitute of a human consciousness. As in this age of complexity, this machine can help us. But that cannot substitute man. That is not the alternative of man. If it would be so, then man will be no man. Anyway, Radhanath sir, please have your observation. Radhanath sir. And finally, Ranjit sir will give his remark, final remark. Radhanath sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Das. Thank you for the uh, well coordinated talk by your student, Dr. Patra. I do not wish to intervene between the master and his great disciple, but then because there is a coordinating link due to AI, which is the hallmark of our civilization, so to say. I am reminded of Descartes, who said, I think, therefore I am. The reason is I am a thinking thing. I think that I exist, and therefore I have some reason to express it through my consciousness. Now, artificial intelligence, as Dr. Patra elaborated, is not sensation, it is not awareness of our surroundings, it is something different. I am also reminded of an old imaginary story. A scientist, Frankenstein, created a monster, and the monster was not endowed with consciousness, could not know the master, and finally attempted to kill him. So, this is the way when things go out of our hand, when there is no sense of consciousness between known and unknown, between reason and falsehood, truth or falsehood. So we ultimately land on a dreamy land where there may not be anything called humanity. That's a different question altogether. Now, coming to the mathematical part, because I am a student of mathematics. Alan Turing, as Dr. Patra mentioned in his presentation, he gave a design of a machine. He was ahead of his times. He wanted that there should be a machine who is able to recognize me through touch or sensation or command or something like that and act accordingly. After Alan Turing, who died perhaps in 1955, all these years were spent in designing a machine in the line of Alan Turing and termed it as Turing machine. That artificial part of machine is to recognize the human commander or the commentator or the user and take his instruction and to finally uh, arrive at the conclusion that whether the master is mindful about the question itself. So it is like a sort of master and the servant. Servant cannot exceed the master as long as the master is in command of the position. But unfortunately, there are weak masters and powerful servants endowed with high intelligence. They can outgrow themselves and become masters themselves. It is up to our intelligence whether we can design such a monstrous machine or a sensation or a sort of consciousness which
and is endowed with the machine as to overthrow us. If it is done, we are foolish enough. We can do. I'm also reminded of a simple story that a wrestler master was giving instructions to his fellow students or fellow wrestlers. And one day, one of the wrestlers challenged the master. The master could overpower him in himself a secret, that is, how to combat such a challenger. So, this way, you keep your intelligence to yourself, your consciousness will develop, and you can design several such machines, but keep your intelligence to yourself. Let us not forego our supremacy. Man versus machine has been a long problem because in 1990s, towards the end part, the Grandmaster Kasparov was ruling the chess world, and somebody said, "Can you challenge a machine?" The machine, a sort of supercomputer called Deep Blue, Kasparov faced him, faced the machine. The machine was already endowed with superhuman memory. When Kasparov could understand or could move 2 steps a second, the machine could move millions of steps in a second. Imagine it. Can there be a sort of competition? But however, because of intelligence, Kasparov could win the Deep Blue machine. But later on, a sort of improved or improvised variety of the supercomputer came that was known as Deeper Blue, and Kasparov was defeated within seconds. So now the question is, who is superior, man or the machine? Man is the architect of this machine. So machine can function as long as the human mind, human intelligence guides it. Therefore, the best solution at this present moment is artificial intelligence is a good servant but cannot be a good master. So the sort of command we reserve for ourselves need not be thrown to artificial intelligence, however intelligent it might be. Yes, it is a tool to aid us. It is a tool to support whether certain things which takes a lot of human time would be solved in minutes. For example, if I want to check whether there is plagiarism in my book, artificial intelligence is there to support, and it can easily detect where some portions are already plagiarized and can go to the source. If I fail to understand or complete a book, it is there to complete it. So this is sort of intelligence endowed with quickness of mind or quickness of activity, which we lack. Therefore, the best way is human intelligence can never be overtaken. If at all it is overtaken, it is due to our foolishness. Now, it is a very, very complicated topic, combining the wisdom of philosophers to the technique of engineers, scientists, or mathematicians, and who is the uh, party to know what is what. It is the philosophers, because they do not play a direct role like mathematicians and engineers or computer scientists who designed such a thing. They have every role, they are a part of it, and their part is appreciable, but they cannot be directors or referees. Therefore, the unattached, intelligent, or wisdom ridden person is a philosopher. They will only exert their influence as to know which part is correct, which part is wrong, and they can coordinate because science is ultimately finding the unity of all dissimilar things, and this way, artificial intelligence will only aid or support us it can never be our master. Thank you very much, Dr. Patro. I shall be very happy to listen to such a philosophical or technical topics which Dr. Pramod Das has been promoting. But one thing is, Dr. Pramod Das even today became your teacher, not only your teacher, he has been, but he became our teacher also, contributing to
Thank you, Dr. Behra. Rina Madam, please have your observation.
Mentioned the whole aspect. Thank you so much.
Rina Madam, will you say something?
Sir gave the question. He said, yes, it is started already. Sir, I just want to cite one example for this. If you go on the Google and if you type the United State of Kailasa, there is a country called artificially it is existing. That country's name is United State of Kailasa, and they are saying you will get a visa, you will get a citizenship just by typing it. World with the help of the AI, it is happening. It's not only the we can say that money-minded people are there, but spiritually we try to manipulate the people because when the question comes about the religion, the AI really works over here. That manipulation is going on. So we need to be, as you stated, and Radhanath sir also stated that we need to now enhance ourselves. We need to think for ourselves. So master who is creating the AI machines need to have the spiritual intelligence, emotional intelligence, so they can make the machines which will be of the spiritual intelligence and emotional intelligence. As Heidegger stated, say yes to the technology, but that yes to the technology means limited technology. Technology should not supersede us. Thank you, sir. It was really wonderful to listen to you. And thank you, Das sir, that for bringing such kind of topic on the this platform that it is really needed nowadays. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Ranjit
Thank you
sir,
so much,
Ranjit
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Ranjit sir, please.
So let us end the discussion of today by saying that explosion of artificial intelligence has led to an explosion of artificial suffering, because it has failed in the field of ethics. It is something which is a programmed consciousness which cannot decide which is just and unjust. So in the legal fields, they are not mostly they are not using this artificial intelligence. But you see these days what Mrutyunjay Mahapatra said the other day, that they are going to use AI in the detection of the future course of meteorologies. So in certain fields, it definitely works. But in other fields, it is having its own limitations. So because many things cannot be programmed with the help of algorithms and others, so it is having a limited application. And as Dr. Behra, Radhanath Behra sir said, that Frankenstein's case, in our case also we find the Bhasmasura is there. Bhasmasura is the same thing. The creation, and again it started to attack its creator. So lastly, we can conclude by saying that it is it is like fire. You see, invaluable as a servant, but ruinous when it becomes the master. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yes, now we shall move to Dr. Kailash Chandra Mahana sir for proposing vote of thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Das. So I was listening to the talk of Dr. Patra. I was also listening very carefully the observations made by Dr. Ghosh, Dr. Prasan Shukla, Dr. Harina Madam, uh, Dr. Radhant Behrachan, and Dr. Uh, Pramod Kumar Das. So I have also my observation on it, and when I was listening to the speaker, and I was listening to uh, the uh, the learning participants of this webinar. So I felt the gravity of artificial intelligence in promoting knowledge, in promoting problem solving in science, social science, and other fields when it is already programmed. But sometimes it fails uh, to solve the many problems. It is a kind of tool for that is for all kinds of clarity of knowledge. It it may be a tool for a kind of analysis. It may be a tool for solving many current problems when it is programmed. But sometimes we fail with some because I have also failed in doing it. And when I I was consulting with AI, that is to know that is to know the status of my disease. Then I got something from Ayurveda, I got something from allopathy. And when I asked the question to AI, what is better? Should I go through Ayurvedic science or Ayurvedic treatment or the allopathic treatment? At that time, I got the answer from AI that that is it that I cannot do it, or I can do it because it overcomes the rule of AI. So AI has a kind of limitation that I knew from that is AI tools. So when I was begging some suggestions, when I was begging some moral problems to solve. So artificial intelligence that is has a limitation that we know. And the Dr. Ghosh has said that it is the explosion of that is a statement explosion of artificial intelligence leads to that explosion of suffering. So it is a very beautiful statement that Professor Ghosh has said. So I was also listening to the observation of Professor Pramod Kumar Das, who said that who rules what? Whether man has to rule artificial intelligence or um, artificial intelligence has to rule man. I was also listening to Dr. Rina's statement whether artificial intelligence can solve for spiritual enlightenment or spiritual problems. So I was so, and when I was listening to Dr. Behera's statement, so it is very intelligent, and so I listened the views of all the learning the participants, and I also feel that that artificial intelligence cannot solve, okay, cannot give the justice that is in many ways. Suppose honesty in creative writing, and it is lost in AI. Sometimes creative writing that is being diverse from the original thought. So artificial intelligence may not take the place of original thought or innovative way of thought or critical thinking or reflective thinking. And AI cannot give the justice for all kinds of reflective thought. So that is it is my observation. But today, as I have gathered the knowledge that I have been benefited in different ways from the history of artificial intelligence that Professor Patra has given, and he has also given a very beautiful clarification of the consciousness in relating to artificial intelligence, and he has also admitted the limitation of artificial intelligence. and its connectivity with the ethical concerns. So today, the entire discussion, the presentation part of Dr. Patra and the observation part of the learned participants, they have been very praiseworthy, and both the part and uh, the presentation part and the observation part, they are very beneficial for all of us. It gives a concrete knowledge and complete knowledge to our mind, and to have a reflective thought on the concept of artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, that is it's not end, it's a growing science, it's a growing study, it's a multidisciplinary study which could be applied in different kinds of scientific research, social science research, and even today it has been added with the philosophical research. We have to wait, we have to study, we have to observe, we have to gather more knowledge from artificial intelligence in spite of its limitation, in spite of its limited knowledge and limited sphere. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Patra, thanks so much, Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Dr. Prasant sir, so much, and thanks so much, Dr. Rina madam, Dr. Behra sir, and Dr. Pramod sir, for beautiful observation and query and thought-provoking statement uh, in connectivity with Dr. Patra's views. Thanks so much. On behalf of Philosophy family, I extend a happy thanks to all of you, the both the uh, presenter uh, and the and the learning participant who have given the observation. And I also propose my vote of thanks to all the participants, those are present till now, and they have been very benefited out of this talk. Thanks so much, and I would like to request Dr. Okay,
Last 1 minute, sir. Last 1 minute. I shall also appreciate Dr. Patra for doing very best on his part. Yes, I shall also appreciate artificial intelligence. I shall support it in one point, basically very one point, in the perspective of memory. That is the limitation of a human mind. Man fails in memory, and in that case, artificial intelligence gives a lot of information, possibilities, suggestions to help us to work. I am giving
Yes,
an
yes,
example. Yes, I am giving an example. Suppose in a critical situation, we may not recall, we may not remember the past cases. Suppose in a legal system also, we may not refer to the judgments which have been passed by different courts. So their advocates, what they do, suppose they put a problem, a case study, then artificial intelligence will give the judgments instantly on the screen. So these are the judgments of the similar cases of this high court, that high court, that high court, that high court, that high court. Then the advocate will go through the judgments. These judgments are there in the books, but only on one command, the entire judgments will be available on the screen. So that helps human mind to memorize the past cases and to take a decision. Even in a social problem also, suppose I have a social problem with my wife or with my child or with my lodge, then I can also, I may not take that granted, but I may just ask. So this is my problem. So AI will give me a hundreds of solutions or suggestions. Then it is to me to follow or not to follow, but to have certain ideas what can be done. So AI is helping in that respect. And another demerit I shall say, now we are all happy, we all know the driverless car. There is no driver, but the car is running, car is parking. So there artificial intelligence is driving the car or the modern technology. The demerit is who is accountable. The accountability is a question in artificial intelligence. When man is doing something, then man remains accountable for something. But when a driverless will drive the car, there is no driver at all, then who will remain accountable? So in the driverless car, there is a driver, that is the human agent who will remain accountable. If it is not there, then there will be no accountability, no justice, no legal system. So artificial intelligence, if it is taken to be granted as such, then there will be no question of accountability. But that does not mean artificial intelligence has no merit. It helps us to exploit, to do better in our work. That helps us. It is a good helper and very well sophisticated, well organized, well programmed helper tool who can help a human mind to grow and to do something very constructive. Mathematics is like that. Mathematics itself is like that. We do mathematics only for this. That mathematics is also programmed science. Similarly, AI has this contribution. It is a great memory. It can produce many possibilities on the screen instantly without spoiling our time, and we can take use of that in a positive sense. Thank you
Yes,
all.
yes, yes, yes.
Thank you all. With this, this session is declared closed. We shall meet
Thank you
next
so
week.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Patra. We are proud of. We feel proud of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.